Hey everyone, Nick here with another Alien Covenant theory. So this one's kind of something that I've alluded to in other videos and also talked about as well, because I did a video called What Happened to the Engineers in Alien Covenant, and in that one I speculated that David possibly used the black goo on the Juggernaut to actually wipe out the race. And my prediction mostly came true in the stuff that followed, with the CinemaCon footage, descriptions first talking about David unleashing the cargo of the black goo on the engineers, and now actually us getting images of that exact scene, and obviously the engineers in the film. So a lot of people have been kind of asking me and posting in the comments and stuff saying, how was David able to defeat the engineers and kill them and wipe out their entire race on their actual home planet? Now, I think there's a couple of reasons this happened. One being, I'm guessing they didn't expect an attack from this Juggernaut ship, or they didn't expect the ship at all. And two being that this settlement of engineers that actually, live on their home planet is much less developed than the ones that we saw in Prometheus, and much less militaristic as well. I think that these ones are much more like common peasants, or, just common folk that live their society, because if you actually look at the images here, the newer ones that we got, you can definitely see what the engineer society was before it got wiped out, and it looks pretty much like, ancient Roman stuff, a lot of architecture, not too much technology actually, apart from the mother Juggernaut ship that we can see in this one image, and a couple of landing platforms and things like that, but it doesn't look like there's any kind of like anti-air guns or anything along those lines, and I don't think I see any engineers that resemble the ones that we saw in LV-223. And that also goes back to another theory that I had in another video talking about, was there actually an engineer civil war in which there were two factions of the civilization? Like, I said that there was a destroyer faction and a creator faction, and the creators were the ones that we saw at the beginning of Prometheus that actually seeded life on the primordial planets and are interested in creating new life and seeing that go through, whereas the destroyers were upset with the creators' stuff that they had done, like creating humanity, and wanted to eradicate it with the weapons that they had gotten a hold of. I think that the destroyers also harnessed the xenomorphs themselves, the black goo, which was sort of a weaponized version of stuff that they had come up with after testing on the xenomorphs themselves. So like I mentioned though, I believe that David was able to actually wipe out the engineers here, because just given by what we're seeing here, it looks like this was very much not a battle-ready civilization of engineers on the planet. And also it's an interesting parallel too, because in Prometheus, David was very infatuated with the engineers and what was going on with them. He had a strange affinity for them, even more so than he did with humans and his own creators. He really found a liking for the engineers and wanted to know more about their race and what they were up to. And he knew that they were planning to go to Earth to wipe us out, because he said sometimes to create you must first destroy. So the interesting thing about that is that David has kind of gone full circle. He's basically carrying out the mission that the engineers were going to do to us, but he's flipped it and done it to them. So I think that's a really cool thing. Definitely you can tell that he's got sort of a god complex about him. He wants to create life of his own, and he sees himself superior even to the engineers. Another interesting thing too is there was a Alien Covenant Red Band trailer, I think, for the second one, and it showed us a flayed engineer, like an anatomical study of its body, and it was in the David statue pose, and I think that was very symbolic of him saying, like, I've killed the giants, being the engineers, I've killed humanity, I'm above them, and I'm superior now to their creators. So he sees himself kind of like the one above all. In the actual new Empire magazine article, there was some dialogue from screenwriter John Logan and Ridley Scott. So writer John Logan said his approach to David was, I wanted to create a backstory with Wayland, which is seen in the film's opening, and the disappointment David has with humanity over the years, finally letting that go deep into his psyche in a very damaging way. Every great story needs a great antagonist, and David, in a way, is the anti-hero of these alien movies. Scott further elaborated by saying, this AI believes he's marginally superior to his creator, which creates an emotional reaction called anger. They've made him way too intelligent and way too sensitive. That was the error you'll find out in Covenant. the film's philosophical issues are going to be argued between the two synthetics, as David tries to win over his peer, Walter, driven by his own vanity. So you can see in the one image too from the new magazine that David and Walter are sort of bonding or talking or discussing things inside of David's workshop, where he's been testing and creating things with his own life, you know, with the black goo and things like that we can see on the engineer's homeworld. So I think this is a very interesting way to go about the movie, and personally I think it's entirely plausible that David was able to wipe out this settlement of the engineers, like I mentioned, because they don't seem to be militaristic and they don't seem to be nearly as developed or as advanced or as weaponized as the ones that we saw in LV-223, because I think they were personally different factions. I think that these ones were just sort of the regular engineers that lived peacefully and were responsible for seeding life across the planets and things of that nature, while the destroyers were the ones that actually flew around in the Juggernaut ships, which could also point to why they were so surprised and so shocked when this Juggernaut arrived on their planet, because they probably thought they were going to be getting invaded by the other faction, being the destroyers. So leave your own thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you guys think of this theory, and do you think it's entirely plausible that David was actually able to wipe out this particular version of the engineers, being that they were less developed than the ones that we saw in Prometheus? And also be sure to share any theories that you have as well, because we can get a good discussion going about this movie. I think that there's plenty to discuss about just the philosophical nature behind it and David's evolution as a character. I think it's really fascinating actually, and I'm glad that they're creating him as kind of the through line between these films. I think that's a great way to go about it, seeing the movies through this android's perspective when you're talking about creation and who made them and why, and exploring questions like that. I think that's just really fascinating stuff. So anyways, be sure to leave all that down in the comment section below. If you guys are new to the channel and you like this video, subscribe for more content like this. We cover all the latest news, theories, character explanations, and trailer breakdowns here at the Hyper Network for everything in the Alien and Predator universe. So thank you guys again for watching. My name is Nick, and I'll catch you guys next time.